And walking onto a stage is the closest thing there is to running out onto a field to play a baseball game. You need an outlet sometimes. Just having fun with it, man. When it's not fun anymore, I'll stop doing it. That I did everything I could possibly do to be the best competitor I could be for as long as I could do it. I want to throw all 9 or I want to throw number 9. I don't want to throw anything in between. I try a lot of different things. And the things I get passionate about, I stick with and I try to do great. And then when it was over, you tip your hat to the next guy.
Hey y'all, it's Pat. Welcome to another episode of Like a Farmer, powered by Ag American Media. First baseball player to ever come on the show, Adam Wainwright, is joining me today. 200 starts, 18 seasons in the Major League Baseball. You would think when he's done with baseball, maybe go to the golf course, go to the beach. No, he is now a country musician, and not only is he a country musician, he's kicking ass in that too. As always, every single Wednesday, Like a Farmer drops a new episode on YouTube or wherever you listen to your audio podcast. Tune in. Adam, thanks for coming on the show today.
Thank you for having me.
I am super stoked, and I just want to right off the bat, 18 seasons, and then you now are a country musician. How does that even come about?
That's a good question. Music has always been just kind of a secondary fun alternative to keep my mind off of baseball. When you need an outlet sometimes. Fantasy football is an outlet for me. Music was always an outlet for me. And that goes all the way back to summer baseball back in high school, singing. And nobody in my hometown really knew I did it. I would get out with my travel team and we'd sing songs together out on the road. But it kind of, when I started dating my now wife, girlfriend at the time back in high school, and I would, finally step off the edge a little bit to sing her a song or write a little poem for her. Or I started writing and singing for her. She was really the first one that kind of pushed me to do it more. And then as the years grew on, she gave me a guitar when I was in A-ball. You travel through all these little towns, and there's just not, I love a Waffle House. But you go through so many towns where there's a Waffle House, a Subway, and that's it.
Yeah.
And so you needed something to do. And then the big leagues, traveling you're in a hotel room alone all the time. It's a good outlet, rather than sit around and playing video games. I picked up a guitar and started playing. And long story short, I was playing for a group of friends in spring training one year, and a guy named Gary Baker was in the crowd. And Gary Baker's a 8-time #1 hit songwriter in Nashville. Wrote a song everybody in the world's heard called "I Swear."
Great jam, right?
Yeah, it's good. I mean, he won a Grammy. John Michael Montgomery's version of it, he won a Grammy, and wrote a song called "I'm Already There," and 6 other #1 hits, and produced every Backstreet Boys album there is, and 98 Degrees, and Jessica Simpson, and all these other people, and so he knew the production side of it. He knew the writing side of it. He was a touring professional for a long time, playing and singing. So he really helped me get this whole thing started. And so now here we are. We're retired, and we've written a lot of songs together and been out there touring a little bit and just having fun with it, man. It continues to be fun. When it's not fun anymore, I'll stop doing it.
Like you've been dominating. I mean, it's been really cool to obviously watch you play baseball, but then now this new career, and you're going all in. I mean, you're an athlete at heart, and we talk about this a lot. We were just talking about Riley Green, right? I mean, Riley Green was an athlete growing up, even into college, and then country music. It's that same mindset, that same determination that you have to put into country music to be successful, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, well, and it's a competitive spirit.
Competitive, correct, yep.
I mean, it just, if I'm walking up the stairs with my daughter, I'm going to race her up the stairs, and so it just is something that, if you're going to do it, you might as well try to win at it. And that's kind of how we're taking, that's the approach we're taking.
I love that. And so your first statement, I had so many avenues I could go. So you're dating your girlfriend and you just start singing. You're swooning her over by singing to her. So that's a great move. So guys out there listening, if you can't sing,
yeah,
that's a good idea.
Well, it always sounds good in the shower, or in the car when you're by yourself. And so I'm thinking, all right, I'll try it. I'll give it a shot. And we were listening to Garth Brooks one day, and we were sitting out on the edge of this dock, and I just broke off into River. by Garth Brooks, and she looked at me like, "You can sing, all right, that's not bad." And I'm like, "Oh, thank goodness." I thought I was worried that it was just me, but I love to sing, man. I love to perform, and walking onto a stage is the closest thing there is to running out onto the field to play a baseball game. I mean, you can't get that anywhere else. That there's a stadium full of people cheering your name. That once you get kind of used to that, it's kind of hard not having it. And that's why a lot of players really struggle when they get out of the game, because there's nobody standing around cheering for them all day long, and so
Well, so no, that's good. Like, why do you say that? I mean, you just because that is I've heard that's the thing. I mean, there's a lot of people that struggle when they were at the top of a competitive sport and they hear their names and they feel wanted, and then it just goes away one day. Like, where's
yeah.
that? Is that
Well, and it's so quick. You play your whole life to get this opportunity to play in the big leagues, and the odds of getting to the big leagues are just very, very low. I mean, it's just that it's like 1% of 1% of 1%, right? Like, it's very, very small. But once you get there, and you have all these people catering to you, got a whole team around you telling you, where to be, and playing in front of sold out crowds and wearing these incredible uniforms in these incredible stadiums. And everybody's telling you you're great. And then, the average major league career is 3 years, right at 3 years. And so all of a sudden, you waited your whole life for this. There was this big giant buildup. Everybody, was all about it. And then all of a sudden it's over. And so it can be very hard on someone who's such a competitor to lose that right away. And so I've been blessed to keep that going. I mean, I played for a long time where I played as long as I could play. I wanted to play until I wanted to play at a level that was competitive and I felt like I could go out and win. And when I lost that, it was time to move on. And health had a big reason for that. But I played 24 years of professional baseball,
Yeah.
18 years in the big leagues, and when you do that, it's going to take its toll on your body. So I had a great run. I'm so at peace and at ease about what happened.
Are you kidding me? I mean, 3-time All-Star, 2-time World Series champion. I think that run's pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, but it's funny. It's not always just the success or the money that makes you happy, man. I've got a great family. I've got a great Lord that I serve, and I'm good with those things.
Yeah.
Like I am confident that I did everything I could possibly do to be the best competitor I could be for as long as I could do it. And then when it was over, you tip your hat to the next guy. I mean, the guy who took my rotation spot, Sonny Gray, the Cardinals went out and signed him. He also bought my house. He took my rotation spot and my house. It was like all right, get out of town.
Two for one package, baby.
But it was incredible, and to do it in St. Louis is one of the greatest all-time baseball cities there is, and sports 100%. Towns there is, was a tremendous blessing also.
I'm a golfer, so I'm big on etiquette.
Yeah.
And professionalism. And so if this question is like, dude, nobody asked this question, why would you even ask that? But I'm curious.
Sure that they've asked it.
I'm curious because, like, looking at your stats, and I'm like, dude, this dude's a Hall of Famer. Like, do you have Hall of Fame numbers when it comes to baseball?
I think the numbers that get you in there have changed slightly. It's going to be interesting to see if there's another 200 game winner. I won 200 on my last game that I could have ever pitched. My teammate from 2 years prior, John Lester, who's a great country boy, good golfer, great baseball player, 3-time World Series champ, he won 200 games right on the nose. And there's a couple guys out there that could do it. But the way the game has changed, pitchers are going to have to start pitching deeper into the game again to get those wins. You rack up 4 or 5 extra wins per year going deeper into the games at least. And when I was a rookie, I had a teammate, Woody Williams, who said, if you want wins in the big leagues, you got to go 7 innings. And there's not a whole lot of 7-inning pitchers nowadays. And you'll pick up a couple more losses, but you'll definitely pick up a few more wins. And so the criteria to get you into the Hall of Fame, it used to be like, if you get 300 wins, you're a lock.
Mm-hmm.
But the 300 game winner, unless Justin Verlander sticks around for another 4 or 5 years.
What's he at now?
He's at 250-ish, maybe 250-ish, somewhere around there. He could do it. There's just not a whole lot of other potentials for 300 unless the game cycles back around, which it may. So to answer your question, long answer, but to answer your question, if voters start looking at criteria changing, there's a chance I get in there with 200 wins. But I pitched for the same team for a long time. I got a few major league records. I had myself and Yadier Molina.
Yeah, the battery is what they call
Had
it.
the all-time battery record ever. You know,
Most wins and starts as the battery, right?
yeah, we have 328 starts together, and we have 214 wins together. And that will never happen. I'll tell you right now, I'll guarantee that never happens.
As a battery.
As a battery. Never happen again. So I don't know. I hope I get it. That would be really neat. But
That would be.
I also am you know, I know that there's a lot of really incredible careers of people who are still kind of waiting to get in. So I get that whole day.
It goes back and forth when you think about baseball. Like you have the guys and girls that I want to watch dudes hit bombs. Like I want it to be a batter game. I want to see the balls go out. I'll tell you what, there's some of us that love the pitchers, and especially if you got these new cats, like you talk about a dog on the mound right now.
Paul Skeens.
Paul Skeens.
Yeah, I know you're gonna say that. Yeah, well, I mean, look, he is the new kind of face of the new wave of pitchers that's coming. You know, it's he's sitting 100 miles an hour or close to it. I think that'll probably, as he gets more innings in, that may drop down just a little bit. I think it already has just a little bit. But what he's doing to prepare for each start, the biomechanics to his delivery that is allowing him to get the most out of his electric stuff. It's new wave stuff. It's you're a golfer. I love to play golf. It's very similar to the golf industry nowadays. I mean, you know, you got a friend of mine was playing in a tournament the other day, and he said that two high school kids from Thomasville, Georgia, shot 8 under apiece at this tournament they went to, and they're 16, 17 years old.
Mm-hmm.
But they've had the best technology. They've had the best training and teaching tools since they were 8 years old, 7 years old, 6 years old. That's kind of how baseball is developing now, where they have these pitching academies and they have all these techniques online now that they know biomechanically how to get more out of your delivery. And they're teaching that from a young age, and they're teaching how to be explosive more. But, you know, injuries are on the rise because I just don't know how much our bodies are made for the kind of strain that it is to put, you know, 100-mile-an-hour baseball for 200 innings. But I'm hoping that with the new crop of studs that's coming up, like Paul Skeens, that is something that their bodies learn to adapt and can handle that better, because, man, it sure is fun watching him pitch.
It's unbelievable. You mentioned earlier, and, you know, had to do maybe with some health injuries, all that, after 18 years in the majors. But could you have kept on going, or did you already have your mindset that you wanted to play country music? So you're like, hey, I want to go and start this.
No. So I wasn't going to start music until I was done with baseball.
Okay.
I mean, I wanted to honor the contract that I had with the St. Louis Cardinals. I wanted to honor the fan base there that expects their guy to go out of there and be prepared and be there ready to play every 5 days and not be distracted. So I used it as an outlet. I was writing. I would record here and there on my day that I wasn't working. You know, if it was day 3 of my 5-day program, it was usually my kind of off day to do some of those things. But I was very laser focused on baseball until the very end. But I did have things in place so that when I stepped away from the game, I could transition quickly, you know. I'm not sure I knew where it was going. You know, I was having fun with it.
I love writing or not, right?
Well, I mean, I knew we were making some cool stuff.
Yeah.
To compare it to baseball or to compare it to golf, like good at in front of 50 people as compared to the Riley Greens or the George Straits or Tim McGraw's or Garth Brookses of the world. Like, how do I stack up with all these incredible people? And you really don't know that until experts tell you, people who have been in the industry for a long time. And so as we got playing more and more, people in the industry are like, hey, look, you could do it.
Mm-hmm.
But you got to be serious about it. You got to put some effort in. You got to be present. So, you know, I live in South Georgia, but I'm in Nashville quite a bit. We've had a few shows, but the opportunity is there to do a lot more shows. I just have to be respectful to my wife and my kids, and I was gone for a lot of years. I missed a lot of stuff.
That's what I'm saying.
I missed a lot of stuff, and so I'm still doing some broadcast stuff. Like tonight, I'm playing the Grand Ole Opry.
Yeah.
Tomorrow, I'll be in St. Louis doing the Cardinals-Dodgers game with Fox. So
Just getting after it.
getting after it. But when I go out, I try to pair these things up. So when I go out with Fox, hopefully I'm doing a music thing while I'm out. And so that way I don't have to have two separate trips, you know. Doesn't always work that way, but we try to pair it up. But I'm a little busier. I'll be honest. I'm a little busier than I thought I was going to be when I retired.
Yeah.
People say, how's retirement? I go, man, I'll let you know when I retire. You know?
Yeah.
Still moving.
Before I want to get into where you grew up and how you grew up, and then obviously I'm excited to talk about the country music. Couple things. I love that you're on the show. I mean, you're a South Georgia boy, you're a country boy, you're getting into the country music scene. But a lot of the people that come on this show too, it's about adversity and overcoming adversity, right?
Yeah.
Josh Allen, the Bills quarterback, and we started this show about 18 months ago, and we wanted to focus on some pillars of rural America, but the traits of the people in rural America too. One of them being adversity. There's kind of two that really hit home with me, and I'm curious your thoughts on. Like, you come from Georgia, and I'm locking in on draft day now.
Mm-hmm.
You get drafted by the Atlanta Braves,
Yep.
which was your childhood team. I mean, it's got to be. I mean, hell, at that point, Florida, Georgia, Alabama, because of the whole Turner Sports, right?
TBS, everyone.
TBS. I mean, everybody. That was the
country
only.
was watching the Braves baseball.
Correct.
Yeah.
And then immediately you get traded to the Cardinals. Like, how does that?
Well, you know, it really was. I was in the Braves system for 3.5 years. I was in big league camp with all my boyhood idols. I was in there with Andre Jones and Chipper Jones and Glavin Maddox and Smoltz. I was there with all of them.
Yeah.
I was there with all of them, and it was crazy for me, you know, to be on a golf course with John Smoltz 5 days a week in spring training. I mean, we were in golf back then. Spring training back then for the Braves. You know, they led the league in wins every year in spring training. Their team knew how to win in spring training while also having the most incredible spring training schedule for a baseball player you could ever imagine. The game itself, the practice itself was over at 9:30. Done. Most practices now aren't starting until 9 o'clock.
Correct.
Getting over at 12 or 1 o'clock.
Yeah.
And then you go out and have a late round. Man, in Braves camp, you ask any of those guys, when Bobby Cox was running Braves camp, you were on the golf course at 10:15.
I love that.
You were on the golf course at 10:15. One morning I walked in, and I'd played, 15 rounds with Smoltz in the first 25 days. And whatever he was asking me to do, I was going to do it. When he had a house in our hometown, and when he would come down to St. Simon's, he'd say, hey, get the boys together, let's go play basketball. And I would call all my friends from high school and be like, dude, John Smoltz wants to go play basketball. Yeah. And like they would call all their friends. We would have like this 5-on-5 game, and we'd have 50 people watching,
I love that.
Yeah. So then, I walk into camp one day, and Smoltz says, hey, can you elevate your game to play golf with me today? And I said, Smoltzy, we've been playing golf every day for 2 weeks. Yeah, I'm good. What's going on? And he goes, come with me. And so he walks me into Bobby Cox's office, and it's about 7, maybe 6:37 in the morning. And he said, hey, Bobby, I'm going to take the kid to play with Tiger today. You good if we take off early? And I went, what? I'm sorry, what happened? And he goes, and Bobby goes, yeah, y'all take off and have fun. And I'm like, wait, did you say Tiger? He said, yeah, we're going to go play with Tiger this morning in just like 45 minutes or so. I go, well, this is my first big league camp. I go, Bobby, I don't have to do that. I can stay here. I can run extra laps or whatever I need to do. You're trying to make a name for yourself. You can't be skipping out. And he goes, are you kidding me? Go play golf with Tiger Woods. Just make sure you get your throwing in and go. And
shout out Bobby.
Absolutely, man. No doubt about it. And we went out and played catch for 5 minutes, and I was, walking on clouds, and we went out there and played 27 holes with Tiger Woods. It was one.
Who all played in that group?
Tiger, Smoltzy, me, and a guy named Darren Holmes.
Gotcha. Love that. Because it seems that Smoltz and Tiger must just play. I mean, they just must have some sort of good relationship. Because I've heard, I go out to the River Club in Swanee. Yeah. Occasionally, and Smoltz is out there, Frenchie's out there.
Brian McCann and them.
Yeah.
DeRosa, yeah.
Correct. And it's like, that relationship between Smoltz and Tiger must be good because I think Frenchie's played with Tiger before.
Oh yeah. Smoltz used to take all those guys to play with Tiger.
Yeah.
You know? And that was kind of known at the time that Tiger, I think even Tiger came out and said the best amateur golfer he'd ever played with at that time was John Smoltz. I mean, but John, I know he plays in these like celeb events now, but if he'd have been playing in those when he was playing baseball back in the early 2000s, he would have won every single one of them. His game, like he's had a hip replacement and a knee and shoulder surgeries and all kinds of stuff since he's got done playing. So his game's not what it used to be. Still very, very good.
And he wasn't doing any of those events as an active, like
no, because you're playing. You know?
Okay, yeah, gotcha. But someone like Josh and some Aaron, I mean, some of the football guys are playing while they're active players just because it's during off season.
Yes, the off season. But for a baseball player, we can't play in Tahoe and all that because we're playing. But I saw him regularly shoot 65, 66 with 8, 9 birdies all the time. Best putter I'd ever seen, and he actually beat Tiger on the last 9 we played. We played 18 and we played 9. He beat Tiger, and Tiger would give him 1 stroke aside. Tiger Woods in 2000, this was 2002 or 2003. Tiger Woods at that time was the best golfer in the entire world. He was giving Smoltz 1 stroke aside. 1 stroke
That's
aside.
saying something.
I'm just saying. But Smoltz is probably the best competitor I've ever met. I mean, he was going to go out there and I kicked field goals in high school, and he would always try to compete with me kicking field goals. And he played basketball in high school, and this guy could have played D1 basketball. I'm very serious about it. Like at least D1 He is the best amateur basketball player I've ever seen.
Athlete,
incredible athlete.
Yeah.
So it was fun being in those guys. But so again, I took that all around. But I get in these wormholes, man. But
me too.
In big league camp with those guys. Was crazy, but what's awesome for me was the new opportunity. I'll tell you a quick story too.
Yeah.
When I found out I was traded, I was actually sitting in the living room with my future father-in-law, asking him for his permission to marry his daughter, and the phone's ringing while I'm having the conversation. And so
while you're having the conversation,
in the middle of the conversation,
the phone is ringing.
In the middle of the conversation,
that you're getting traded.
Sir, I love your daughter. We've been dating for 5 years, and we're thinking about, and the phone's ringing. And I'm like, that phone has been ringing forever and ever. And my phone starts ringing, and you open it up. Who's the don't know that number? Close it down. Open it up. It's Dayton Moore, who was the GM of Kansas City.
You got a flip phone at this point? Is what you're saying?
Yeah, it was either a flip phone or remember how you pull out the little thing?
Yeah. Yes. Okay.
But I don't remember what kind. It was definitely a flip phone of some variety, or the Nokia. Remember the Nokia that you just pull the deal out? It was one piece. But eventually he gets up and answers the phone. I'm like, I can't believe he got up and answered the phone in the middle of the conversation. But I found out later he didn't really want to have that conversation. His daughter. So he gets up and answers the phone, and I find out, and I had just been saying, all right, listen, I play for the Atlanta Braves farm system. I'm about to be in the big leagues. And they lived in Gainesville, Georgia at the time. And so I said, that's just an hour away. We'll be real close to you. There's a lot of security there. Big league baseball players, salary's pretty good. And we've set up things smart from a salaries point, and our savings is good. And then, oh, wait, you just got traded across the school. So I'm not going to be in Atlanta anymore, but hopefully I'll be in St. Louis and don't exactly know where I am. It was a really hilariously awkward conversation.
Hey, y'all, it's Pat, and I'm here to talk about one of my favorite companies in the world, Ag America. Ag America is your go-to financial partner for all things agriculture. As the largest independent financial firm dedicated to rural America, Ag America is changing the game of ag lending and leveling up financing options for farmers, ranchers, and landowners all across the nation. And I'll let you in on a little secret. The thing that sets this company apart from the rest is the people. They understand firsthand the unique needs of American farmers and ranchers because many of them grew up on farms themselves. They take a farmer-focused approach to finance, prioritizing relationships over transactions to help you build a stronger financial foundation for not only yourself, but for your family. So whether you're looking to buy land or secure working capital, Ag America has your back. Visit agamerica.com today to learn more and see how they can help you achieve long-term financial success. Because don't ever forget, when farmers thrive, we all do. Hey y'all, it's Pat, and I'm back to talk about my great partner, Fresh from Florida. Food tastes better when it's grown closer to home. That's why when you look for the Fresh from Florida logo where you shop, you can rest assured that you'll find the freshest, best tasting, and highest quality produce you can get. In the field one day and at the store the next, Fresh from Florida produce goes directly from Florida farmers to you. Go to freshfromflorida.com to get free and delicious recipes like these. And while you're there, you might as well check out to see what else is in season and see how you can support our Fresh from Florida farmers. And as always, don't forget, there is sunshine in every bite.
Getting traded was the best thing that ever happened to me because I needed to refocus my career. I needed to take it seriously because baseball, if it was going to be a career, anything you want to do, you got to work at. Anything you want to do well, you have to work at it. And I wasn't working like I needed to. I didn't have the reputation inside the Braves organization that I should have had if I'd have been showing up early enough and working hard enough and really studying long enough like these other great competitors were. I needed a new opportunity, a clean slate, and when I went to the Cardinals, I was given that opportunity.
That's a cool way to look at all of that. And then when you got to help me out here too, because going from, I mean, you got it done in high school too, but at one point, I guess maybe 06, you go from starting rotation to reliever.
Yep.
What makes that even happen? Because then, obviously, at some point, you go back to the starting rotation. I think the year y'all did you win first World Series as a reliever or?
Yeah, okay. I closed it out. I got the last pitch.
So you got the last pitch.
Yeah, through the last pitch. Yeah.
Of the game of the final game.
Yeah, I closed it out. Yeah.
Oh, dude.
Yeah, pretty cool. Pretty cool.
Yeah.
It's one of those sniff yourself moments.
Yeah.
You know, I had been in the minor leagues for 5.5 years. And I think you get to a certain point where you're like, you know what? I don't care what I'm doing in the big leagues. As long as I'm in the big leagues, I'm not going back to the minor leagues. And you get this thing in your head mentally where you're finally ready to compete at the highest level. And it's not just about physical talent. It's so much about mental talent and it's so much about, you know, overcoming obstacles and being able to grind through, you know, your arm hurts and getting up at 4 o'clock in the morning and flying across the country or taking a 16-hour bus trip and staying in a motel, you know, with 4 other guys or whatever and sharing a seat for 12 hours with another guy who's 6'7". You know, the minor leagues is a weeding out process. And so eventually, if you're mentally tough enough to get through that and you're physically talented enough, you go, you know what? I ain't going back there anymore. I'm going to do whatever I can to stick at the big league level. And so when given the opportunity to start or to be a reliever in spring training in 06, finally mentally I was ready to be that competitor. And I knew if instead of pouting about it or whatever, I knew if I performed well enough, that opens up our opportunities to do other things. And so from the year before, I was like, you know, the last guy on the totem pole. And then the following year, closing out the World Series, a lot of things had to happen, but it was all me accepting this. Look, I'm here. I'm gonna be here every day. I'm gonna be making pitches. I'm gonna be grinding. I'm gonna be working. I'm gonna be early. I'm gonna be shadowing the best pitcher on the team, Chris Carpenter. I'm gonna watch everything he's doing. I want to learn how to be great at this game and just totally accepting and buying in. This is my career. I'm taking it serious. I'm not going to waste any more opportunities. And then, you know, that's when opportunities present themselves.
That's awesome. And you got it done. I mean, like I said, you're in the bigs. This is what your duties are. You executed those duties, and it turned out to being back in the starting rotation. So,
yeah,
good for you.
Well, after I got the last out, Tony La Russa the next day says, all right, so do you want to be a closer or a starter? And I said, look, if I was going to be real honest with you, I want to throw all 9 or I want to throw number 9. I don't want to throw anything in between. Like none of that middle reliever kind of stuff, you know, like that's
a great little, I want to throw all 9. I want to throw number 9.
And he said, that's a hell of a thing to say. And then our closer, Jason Isringhausen, got healthy again the following year, and I went to starter. Never went back.
That's awesome. I could sit here and talk ball with Adam like all day. Want to do a little transition, but first, We play a game on this show, okay?
Okay.
This game's called The Perfect Game,
Yep.
presented by my friends over at Tecovas. Love Tecovas.
Me too.
Do you?
Yeah.
I mean, dude, check these things out right here.
Look
I got
at
these the other day.
Hurley. I got a whole wardrobe of Tecovas button-up shirts and
Oh, I know. It's not just boots over there.
yeah.
I mean, it's boots is just the beginning. You can get shirts, jeans, hat,
Mhm.
hell. And you go into the stores and they offer, hey, you want a beer, Pat? Absolutely.
I
want a
love
beer.
that.
And it's got to be some sort of thing to make you buy more, but it works every time.
Yeah.
Okay. Random questions. You just answer how you feel. You're a nickname guy. What's
Yep.
your favorite nickname, Wayno or Uncle Charlie?
Well, I think Wayno's is the more endearing one. You know, Uncle Charlie is what people call me. That have followed my career for a long time, and I appreciate that. But Wayno's the thing that everyone calls me. So, I mean, if I had to pick one, I'd probably pick Wayno. But you know,
And where'd Wayno come from?
my very first locker next door neighbor in Cardinal spring training was Alan Bennis, and Alan asked me if I had a nickname, and I said no, because in the Braves system they called me Wayne, and I couldn't stand it. So I told him no. And so he goes, all right, cool. And he's like, hey, everybody meet Wayno. And I was Wayno ever since.
Wayne to Wayno. I love that.
Yeah, that Wayne was not it.
Yeah. Okay, so what's your favorite like venue, country music venue? I just need, and then that's going to lead into my question. Like
Well-
Red Rocks, like where would you rather play if you had to choose any venue?
I mean, I got to play the Grand Ole Opry a couple of weeks ago and standing in a circle. I just have to be reverent to that circle at first. I'll say something else afterwards, but standing in that circle where George Jones stood at, and Garth Brooks and Clint Black and Vince Gill and George Strait stood in that circle, and I'm standing in that circle, and
Sure.
Willie Nelson and all these legends, that's about as cool as it gets, you know, and so I had to say that first. But I would love to do a big show in my hometown, like big show, you know, once this thing gets big enough. And
Which would be where? What's the venue?
St. Simon's Island, Georgia, or Brunswick, Georgia. I would love to blow out do something really cool for
Yeah.
charity down there where I live.
Okay, perfect. So this leads to my question. Today, now you can do both of them today.
Okay.
Would you rather throw a perfect game
Mm-hmm.
or do a sold out show back in your hometown?
I'd rather throw a perfect game.
I knew it, my dog. I knew it.
I'd rather throw a perfect game in, because you know what?
Did you ever come close to doing it?
I threw a couple of one-hitters. I did. I threw the two closest I ever had. My teammates broke it up. Paul Goldschmidt and Nolan Arenado.
Mm-hmm.
I played. This was 2013. We were playing against the Rockies. The Rockies had a really good offense at the time. The day before, a guy named Shelby Miller pitched, and Shelby heaved up a hit to lead off the game, and then he got 27 straight outs. So he had a perfect game after the one out. And then I pitched the very next day, and I went 7 2/3. So I went into the 8th inning with 2 outs, with a perfect game, and I gave up a hit to Nolan Arenado, and that was the only thing I gave up. But I just wanted that so long.
Yeah.
You know, I've only wanted a sold out crowd for a couple of years now. I never knew that was a possibility, but I've been wanting a perfect game
For a long time.
since I was 3 years old.
Yeah, I feel that. Okay, so now as the retired baseball player, National League Championship, St. Louis Cardinals are facing the Atlanta Braves. You're on the couch, you're hanging out, doing what you do. Who are you rooting for?
Now?
Yeah, right now.
Oh, I'm a Cardinal.
Yeah. Okay, so you grew up Braves fan, you got to
Yeah.
be with the boys.
Oh
But
yeah. No. We don't root it for anybody else besides the Cardinals, man. That's, you know, once you go to, I played against the Braves several times
Yeah.
in the postseason. You know, once you battle against a team, you can't root for that team.
For sure. Okay.
You can't root for that team. But man, you're lucky. Did I wear my Cardinals drawers today? No, I didn't wear my Cardinals underwear today. I got a few. I'm Cardinal, man.
Cardinals
Inside
underwear,
out.
is that a thing? Was that like do you really have Cardinals underwear?
I really have Cardinals underwear.
Oh, wow. So you are all in.
I'm all in. Yeah, and I wore one a pair last year to the field, and you know, there's no boundaries in a major league clubhouse. naked with these guys in the shower all the
Yeah,
time.
yeah,
I mean,
for sure.
I don't know why they don't make stalls in the showers for baseball players, but they don't. They just everybody's in there, and I was wearing my Cardinals drawers one day, and one of my teammates looked at me and goes, "That is the most Wayno thing that I've ever seen." Cause they know, like, I'm such a homer, man. The hardest thing for me is when I'm on a broadcast and I'm calling a Cardinal game to not be biased, and so I really work at that because that I know that's a job I do now, and so I have to be fair to these fans, so I have to call it as I see it, but it's hard not to because I have just a deep love for the St. Louis Cardinals.
Yeah, I love that. St. Louis, you heard it, man. He's all in. I thought I would have got you on that one. Okay, Game 7, World Series today. I mean, you're a GM, so you pick any pitcher. Who you choosing to go out there and throw the rock?
Any pitcher in the game right now?
Yeah, Game 7, World Series.
I want Wheeler on the mound. He's a big game pitcher. I mean, Philly's going to be tough to beat this year. I know they haven't been playing great, but they're going to be tough to beat this year. But he has been so good in the postseason. And so is his teammate Ranger Suarez, for that matter. But I'm probably going to go Wheeler in the National League. And in the American League, I'm probably going to pick Justin Verlander just because he's battle tested. He's
been there too.
He's still got it. He's still a big game pitcher. That's probably who I'd pick.
You think the Phillies get it done this year?
I think they could get it done for sure.
That's my favorite ballpark, Citizens.
Citizens, yeah.
Yeah, I love that ballpark. Okay, last one. Who was the hardest hitter that you had to throw against?
Well, there's several parts to that question.
Yeah.
My first half of my career, it was a guy named Aramis Ramirez that played for the Cubs, Brewers, and the Pirates. I could never get away from this guy in the National League Central.
Yeah.
It's like he followed me around. But he was batting cleanup behind Derek Lee in the Cubs lineup when they were really good. And I never had a problem with Derek Lee, but I could never get out Aramis Ramirez. Aramis hit 400 off me until the very end of his career when he was with the Brewers. I finally started to get him out occasionally, but it didn't matter what I threw him. I think he had some kind of tip, but sometimes hitters and sometimes pitchers, for that matter, just they got it against the other guy. You know, they see the ball well, or they just, if you're a pitcher, make a perfect pitch. He was one of those guys that it didn't matter if I threw it in the middle of the plate or 3 feet outside, he was still going to hit it in the gap. But then as he got older and new guys came in, Bryce Harper was always really tough. But then in the last couple years, a guy named Ian Happ from the Cubs. I didn't give up a whole lot of home runs as a big league player until I got really old and started throwing slow. But Ian Happ had 7 home runs off me.
He had your number, man.
But he had 3 games where he hit 2 home runs off me in each game. So I faced him for, I don't know, 50, 60 at bats. But he had 3 games where it's not easy to hit 2 home runs in a game off a pitcher, and he did it 3 times. So I got to tip my hat to Ian. He had me the last couple of years.
So before we transition to the country music, let's just talk about where you grew up and farming, and I mean let's talk about why you're even on the show today. The reason why too, because I think when you think about country musicians, and you can find out pretty quick if they're legit or if they're fake, because most of them, I mean, they're storytellers, right? I mean, that's what musicians are. And these country musicians, they grew up in rural America. They grew up in farming towns. So I'm not saying they have to be farmers to be a country musician, but they grew up in rural America, right? Yeah. And that's what we're trying to shed light on. And that's what you did. Like, tell me about growing up in Georgia, South Georgia. You talk about great farming. I mean, it's some of the best dirt in the country. Like, tell me about all of that.
Yeah, we're a little south of the best dirt.
Yeah,
we're real sandy, real acidic soil down there. But it doesn't mean you can't do it.
And Brunswick, Georgia.
Yeah.
Right, yep.
Mm-hmm. And now I live on St. Simon's Island, but I have a farm up in just shy of Jessup, Georgia. We call it Jessup the Road. It was a piece of property that I wanted kind of a blank canvas. I wanted to be able to paint my own picture, and I started reading all these books, Dirt to Soil by Gabe Brown, and all these good farming practices books, and watching all these documentaries as I got into gardening. So when I tore my elbow in 2011, I had Tommy John surgery. I needed a hobby. I ended up going to Home Depot, getting a few pots, getting some soil, getting some seeds, planting it, and that seed really sprouted, man. I tell you, it wasn't just growing plants, it was growing this interest for growing things. And then I started bringing in tomatoes and cucumbers for the guys in the clubhouse, and I started making salsa, and I started making pickles and bringing them into the guys. And then I started realizing, man, I started getting real plugged in with all these charities that were feeding people and giving clean water and all this stuff. And so I feel like, like there's something here for me. I'm supposed to be growing food for people. And so I wanted this piece of soil, this piece of property to that wasn't already finished, to be able to go in and paint my own picture on it and design our own, crops, plans and fields. And it's took that 4x4 little raised bed box on my deck in St. Louis, took it to 16 by 24 garden, to 100 by 100 garden, to now we got 300 acres in production. I got 1,600 acres, but I got 300 of in production.
What are you growing?
Anything you can imagine.
Yeah.
Anything you can imagine. We do about 50 acres of corn, 50 or 60 acres of corn, but we use that mainly as cover crop and wildlife. I've got 110 acres of pecans, or pecans, depending on where you're from.
Yeah. Are you
or pecans?
Are you?
I say pecan.
Or pecan.
Yeah, I say pecan.
Yeah, it's hard for me to get on the pecan train. I'm a pecan guy.
Yeah.
But you're right. That's a big argument these days.
Yeah. Well, there's a divide in Georgia too. It's like pecan, pecan, pecan.
Yeah.
It's 3 different ways to say it. But we also have 2.5 acre in-ground garden, and we have a hydroponics inside unit too that we're doing, and feeding microgreens to chefs and leafy lettuces to chefs. And then we have 30 or 40 accounts right now, which is about to grow exponentially, but 30 or 40 CSA accounts, where community support agriculture, where whatever's growing on the farm at that time, they sign up for it, and we deliver what's fresh off the farm that week. We got 120 beehives, and we're trying to do everything completely organic and sustainable. So there's no be a whole lot easier for me if I could just spray everything down with all the different chemicals and keep the weeds out and keep the pests out and keep the deer out and all this stuff. But man, that's just not, I don't think that's how our food's supposed to be grown and done. And I don't think it's very good for our soil health. So we're doing everything sustainably, and I'm having a ball doing it, but we're about to grow it big time, man. We that 2.5 acre garden we got, it's about to expand into like 4 acres of strawberries and 7 acres of blueberries and 5 acres of grapes and 3 acres of blackberries and onions, field of onions, field of watermelons and cantaloupe. And it's just going to be like this walk through cool thing. We're going to plug into schools, programming, nutrition program, because Brunswick, Georgia, my birth city, just got named the poorest city in Georgia, and it's a food desert. And I think a lot of people don't.
How do they rank that? Just household
per
income?
capita.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, per capita. And then the access to good, clean food is just not there, man.
It's not.
It's
anywhere.
not there. It's just not there. And so, if you got whole neighborhoods, the only thing within 5 miles is Popeyes and McDonald's. Now, listen, I love eating Popeyes and McDonald's, but you can't do that every meal.
Which one you taking over what?
Depends on what meal, man. I love a McDonald's biscuit in the morning, and I love a late night double quarter pounder, but you can't do it all the time. Those are treats, man.
That's true. Yeah.
Those are treats and cheats,
My late night at McDonald's is I'm going chicken nuggets over the burger. Anyways, I went in left field on that one too. Where do you get this It's so cool, Adam.
Yeah.
Like you have all these different talents, and I love it. Like, where do you get the passion on the ag side? Like, why are you so passionate about growing food? And you're smart about it too. You, like, the 4 or 5 things you just said, like, you're growing and you're bringing it to your teammates, and you feel like you need to grow to feed people. Like, you get what farmers do every single day.
Yeah.
You appreciate farmers, and we talked about flying. I mean, where do you find this passion from?
Well, I have a lot of hobbies. That's probably why I'm very mediocre at all of them. But I when I tore my elbow, got into growing things. When I tore my Achilles, I got into playing music more. Um, I feel like when I try a lot of different things, and the things I get passionate about, I stick with it and I try to do great because it's like we said earlier, anything you want to be good at, you got to work at. And so, if I'm out on the farm that day, I'm working, I'm competing. I've got that same spirit. I'm competing to try to make this the coolest, best property that we can to help other people. Now, the back half of the property, I got a pretty jam up deer hunting, quail hunting,
That, yep.
duck hunting, you know, cool spots. But that front half is all about community. Got a cool rifle range out there, cool sporting clays section out there. Got a cool pavilion to host and big smoking station. We have Boy Scout groups out there all the time. We have church groups out there all the time, and starting to get some school field trips out there, and that's what we want. We want them out there. Kids need to get their hands in the dirt, and it's a proven fact that when a kid spends time helping to grow the food, they have an 85% chance higher rate to eat that food. Where, you put tomatoes and cucumbers on kids' plate, they're going to be like, I'll take the chicken finger and the french fries.
Mm-hmm.
If they had a hand in growing that tomato, they're proud of it. They want to take a bite and they want to hand it to the other person. Hey, try this tomato. And so that's what we're trying to catch on down there.
Dude, that is fantastic. We started this show, two objectives for this show: celebrate the farmer, educate the people.
Yep.
And this is the time now. And you think about the pillars too of like a farmer. You've got outdoors, hunting, fishing, farming, etc., sports, any type of sports. I mean, you could sit here and say NASCAR might be the staple sport of rural America, but college football is huge. Baseball right in the Midwest. Country music. You talk about country music, and it's changing every single day. It's cool again. Everybody wants. I mean, I think, was it today?
Mm-hmm.
Did Post Malone? Did he announce it today or release it today? Yeah. So Post Malone's album's out. And you would never thought that. And then food. Food has never been as popular as it is today. People want to know where their food's coming from, and they want to know who's growing their food.
Yep.
So you think about what you're doing. Like, what are some things in the food sector, ag sector, that you see out there that you just are trying to change or don't necessarily agree with? Like, for instance, for me, I mean, we're losing thousands of acres, thousands of farms a year.
Yeah.
That's one of my biggest fears. Second, average farmer, 55, 60 years old. None of the young kids are getting into farming anymore. That's an issue. Mm-hmm. Labor is an issue. So what are some things that you see?
Well, I think early on in my kind of farming endeavor, I watched a documentary called Fresh. And it's all about kind of like where your food's grown and how it's grown and what practices are put in place. And there's a guy named Joel Salatin who's on the video. He's explaining, his cows and his chickens and his hogs and all these things. And he's got this rotation going and how animals can be used proper to really make the land come alive. And animals are just such an integral part of it. But I'll tell you, watching that, and chickens, they're meant to go out in the dirt and scratch and eat the bugs, and they're not supposed to be eating out of metal pans corn all day long. Cows aren't supposed to be eating corn all day long. Cows are meant to eat grass, Hogs are supposed to be out there rolling around. They're not supposed to be thousands of hogs and tiny little. That's just really, really. That's why you got to pump them full of all kinds of crap, to keep them healthy. Watching that really opened my eyes on some of the practices that I was about to put in place. We wanted to do a big chicken coop, but then I thought, watching that, I need to have mobile chicken coops and be able to move them around and have all these free-range chickens. So now, if you eat a free-range chicken egg, if you had a free-range chicken egg in your left hand and a store-bought house chicken in your right, the free-range chicken egg on the inside, when you crack it, is bright orange. The chicken egg that comes out of the coop is light yellow.
Mm-hmm.
And that just the nutritional value of everything is just off the charts, but you can see it with your own eyes. And so we have between 200 and 400 chickens all time free ranging at the farm, and that's helping our soil. It's helping our cover crops. We rotate those guys every 3 days to make sure they get in good, new stuff to scratch and eat. We supplement a little bit of feed, but they're supposed to be out there and scratching and eating. So, I mean, the things that I think if kids could get exposed to that kind of stuff, and they could see what a difference that would make. There's a great. Have you seen The Biggest Little Farm? That documentary.
Mm-hmm.
That was really fun for my kids to watch.
Yep.
They're like, oh, that's really neat, and that's a big operation. But there's ways to do better practices. And when you eat a creamy free range egg, I don't even remember what your question was, but when you eat that creamy free range egg compared to the other egg, you're like, man, I want more of that. Where can I get that?
Yeah.
And to your point, that's just disappearing, and it's hard. It's hard to do. It's harder to do things the healthy way, because you can spray all kinds of chemicals on things, and it looks lush and green and whatever. But what's it doing to the microorganisms in the soil? What's it doing to the long-term health of the soil? And I feel like practices through the Midwest. I mean, there's people who speak about this a lot more in detail than me, but I feel like the farming practices are starting to come back around where they're healthier in a lot of different places. And so hopefully that catches fire. I would love to see our youth in America get interested in farming again. The problem is they can make more money being an influencer on YouTube or whatever than they can being a farmer. Being a farmer is you're not going to be a billionaire farming, but there's a lot of great rewards in it.
That's spot on. Did you have any farming ties growing up, or was it?
My grandparents were farmers.
Okay.
In my mom's side of the family, her whole side growing up, they were all farmers. Aunts, cousins, uncles, everybody were all farmers. Peanuts and corn and all that kind of stuff.
So you had it in your blood for a long time.
Yeah, and my dad left home when I was very young, but one of the couple of things I can remember about him was having a big old giant garden, and eating. I can remember when you get a Silver Queen sweet corn right off the cob, put it in the pot and eat it. That's as good as it gets right there.
Mm-hmm.
Straight off the husk and right in. I mean, it just doesn't get better than that. When you get a tomato that was ripened on the vine and pull it off with all the sugars in there, where it wasn't picked early and sent across the country, when it gets all those sugars and you pull it off the vine and slice it up,
yeah,
it doesn't get better than that.
Yeah.
So
that's awesome, man. Can I tell you something?
Mm-hmm.
You're a good dude.
Thanks.
Like my dad left at a very early age. I was raised by a single mom, but and I don't have any kids yet. You're I can see just with what you do, even on the hobby side for farming. I mean, you do it for other people. Like you're raising your kids in a way that it seemed like you had been raised, and the maybe things that you had missed out on the childhood, you are making up for it so your children don't have that. Like, you are a good dad. I can see that. And that means a lot to me. Seriously does.
Well, when you raise without a dad, you can go two ways with it. You can follow suit and be a bad dad like him because that's what you know and you saw and that's what's normal. Or you can go, you know what, I'm going to be the exact opposite of that. Because he was not there, because he was absent, because he never showed up, I'm always going to be there. I'm never going anywhere. Because he didn't support me, I'm going to be ultra supportive. Because he wasn't a good husband, I'm going to be the best husband. Because all these things, and that's the route I took.
I love that, man. I really do. Country music.
Mm-hmm.
What would you say, because you're a storyteller, half of this, it blows my mind still.
You got to shut me up.
You've got 2-time World Series champion, 18 seasons in the bigs. You've played the Opry, going to be twice after this interview, and you do a really good job on the farming side. Like, everything you just said is actually really cool, and I love when it goes back to the side the objectives. Celebrate the farmer, but educate the people.
Mm-hmm.
So when you think about country music, what would you say your storytelling on country music is? Is it like from personal life to career to everything and all in between, or like what's the story that you're telling in all your songs so far?
Yeah, I think if you looked at the first album I dropped, it's all about real life experience. Every single one of the songs on that album, it's all real. It all happened. Like there's not one made up story in there. It's all things that I experienced. I got a song on there called "If You Would Have Stayed." It's all about what we just talked about with Dad not being there. If you would have stayed, what would it have been like? Man, you should have seen my first home run. You should have seen my first day of school. You should have seen all these things. Um, I got a song on there called "One Day They Won't" because and I sing it with my daughter on the album. She sings the second verse, and I was sitting in the house. I'm looking around. There's scratches all over the chair. There's marks all over the stairs. There's marks all over the wall. There's clothes everywhere. 5 kids, man. And I'm looking around going, God, this place is a disaster. Like if somebody knew what this house looked like all the time, they would be like so surprised. And then, I'm looking at my wife and I go, man, this is crazy. Like it's like a tornado in here all the time. And then my little daughter Sadie came and got in my lap. And I looked at my wife and I said, but one day they won't do this right here. And I said, oh gosh, I got to write that song. And so it's all about, it might be crazy in the time, but one day it won't be crazy. And we're going to probably miss that. We're going to miss not having 5 voices, extra voices, bickering and all that. But we'll definitely miss when they get up in your lap and every story in there. I got one in there about Georgia. I got one in there about being on the road, but loving to come back home, like coming back, and all these things, they're all real. They're all real life experiences, and my love for writing was, I think that's probably my favorite part of the whole musical process.
Yeah,
is creating something new, and making a cool sound, but creating a new song, and putting it out there. I think that's just such a neat opportunity.
do you write all of your songs?
So I, to this point, have written. I'll tell you the process. How about that?
Yeah, please.
So I'm not short on ideas. I love. I turn in a phrase. I heard Garth say that he realized he was a great songwriter, storyteller when he could turn a phrase. Somebody said something and he turned that around into a song, and I love doing that. And probably I'm going to leave our conversation today and go, dude, he said that, and that's going to be a great song. And then, right now.
Will I get some sort of like, can you put me in as like a co-writer? Is that how that works or something like that? Just call me up.
We'll talk about it. Yeah,
we'll
talk about it. We'll put you in the fine print.
Exactly.
I usually, so far, every time I've got an idea, I write down the idea. It's about 75% of the time, there's a melody that goes with it in my head. Don't know why, don't know how, but when I write the words down, I hear it a certain way. And then I usually get at least a verse, a chorus, sometimes a second verse, and I send it to Gary Baker, the producer guy, and my co-writer. He's co-writer on all my songs, and then me and Gary and a guy named Greg Barnhill, who's a Nashville legend. We get together. This is how it's been every time so far. We get together in a little powwow and we write that song, if it's worth writing. And it's so funny, man. Sometimes it's like so close, and they kind of make a double A song into a big league song. They're Hall of Fame songwriters, and so they kind of tweak things here, move a word here, move a line here. Well, let's move this to the second verse, type of thing. Or and another time, this last one of the last songs I sent them, it was the slowest, most heartfelt ballad that I sent them. It's called "Hit the Ground Running." And in my first line, I said, I got the best night playing, honey, wait and see. And it was, I got the best night playing, honey, wait and see. And they took that and go, oh no, this is up tempo. I got the best night playing, honey, wait and see. And they changed it into my most up tempo song. And so that's kind of how it goes sometimes. But I love that process of getting everybody in the room and seeing these creative minds come together and create something cool. It's really neat.
Dude, that is fantastic. So as the competitor you are, and you've taken it, you've taken to the top, World Series champ. Don't know how many more times I can say it. I mean, the dude, 18 seasons, 2-time, like, and now you're doing this. What's like the peak? I mean, what are you? I know as an athlete, Adam, you're like, I gotta make it here.
So people ask me all the time, what's your World Series for the music side
correct.
of it? And playing the Opry is definitely one of those. But I'll tell you that I think the biggest one for me would be to stand on the stage and have everybody in the crowd sing the song back to you.
100%, man.
I just don't know if it gets better than that. You know, stand on the mound with the confetti coming down, World Series champs, and standing on the stage and having everybody sing the song that you wrote back to you.
Unbelievable.
Those are pretty even.
Gotta be. I'm telling you, like, I've been on the road with Riley multiple times now, and when that crowd sings back to Riley, Grandpa's Never Die, I'm getting chill bumps. Just,
yeah.
I mean, it's unbelievable. And then they might mix in a little bit of the Flashlight too.
Mm-hmm.
I have thousands and thousands of people singing Grandpa. Like,
It's
a great feeling. Yeah. And I'm just backstage hanging out. I'm still getting goosebumps. No telling what Riley's.
I need to get on his workout program.
Dude,
he's jacked.
You kidding me? Like I don't even know what it is. I mean, we'll be on the road and he'll be at the gym, and there's no chance I'm going to walk into the gym with that guy because we did. I say that I've been to his home gym before, and I don't know how he does it, man. I mean, the dude is he's just ripped up, man.
Yeah, he is.
And I don't know.
Good stash too.
Great stash. I'm tired of talking about RG on this show. I mean, I had the Bussin' with the Boys crew, Will and Taylor, on the show, and we had a celebrity softball game the night before, and we were like, we got to find something wrong with Riley. And you hate that you can't, and because we talk about good looking, handsome as heck, man. I love you, RG. But as a man too, just beautiful heart, caring, do anything, take your shirt off his back.
I just hope you talk about me like this one day. Maybe that's my World Series Super Bowl moment in the music industry when you talk about me like you talk about Riley Green.
Okay,
that's going to be a meme some way. Look at me like he looks at Riley Green. That's going to be a meme.
I love that, man. So what's next for Adam Wainwright? I mean, in country music, baseball, broadcasting, life, like what's coming up that you're looking forward to?
Man, I'm looking forward to being still a little bit. All these other things, I sat down with my wife to do the schedule before the baseball season started because I knew broadcasting was going to pick up and concerts were going to pick up. But I think we'll revisit that when this cycle is over and maybe cut something out just to be still a little bit more, you know. Because I was gone for a long time. Go, and that was great. You know, that's part of it, and she knew that getting into it, and I knew that getting into it as part of it, and I couldn't wait to do it, and I want to go out and play lots of shows, and I want to, you know, if I was just starting out on my music career and I never had my baseball career, I'd be going like I was for baseball. Man.
Yeah,
like I'd be which bar you want me at, you know, like which bus you want, where are we going, cross country, perfect.
But you're still going to do that, right? Like, can we at least maybe get some insight? Are you going to do like a tour, like your own headlining tour?
Yeah. Well, hopefully. I mean, look, this is all based on if people want me to.
Okay,
if people want me to. If the music is good and people like it and they're having fun and selling out, then we'll do something like that for sure. But I also have to make sure that I'm home, you know. So to answer your question, one thing I'm looking forward to is still this year I get to go skiing for the first time ever.
You've never been skiing?
I've never been skiing. I've been on 2 ski trips with my family, and they all skied. But in baseball, if you go skiing and you tear your ACL or something, your contract's voided. You know, so I did not have the confidence. I'm not a good skater. I'm not a good skater. If there's one thing in the world that I'm not very good at, it's skating. I'm very, very, very below average at skating. And I feel like skating and skiing might be sort of similar. And I'm like, I'm going to get up on this hill. I'm going to get cocky because I nailed the bunny slopes. And I'm going to go down a blue diamond, and I'm going to break myself in half. I'm like, I can't do it. So a couple different times we went, I watched our youngest kid, you know, and just dad things with them and jacuzzi and, kid stuff and watching football and it was great. I loved those trips, but I want to get out there and ski. So that's the other thing I'm looking forward to going. I'm going to go skiing, man.
That's one of my New Year's resolutions was to learn how to ski too. Like I need to get out there. I have no excuse about I was playing Major League Baseball. That's what I can do. I just don't think my tail can get up there and do it. That being said, there's an ongoing list like beer, like top beer moments. And what I mean by that is when you first get to a hotel on a vacation, that balcony beer is just unbelievable. Like right before you go out, like you're on vacation, hotel balcony beer. Yep. Another great one is that jacuzzi at the end of the snow
100%.
mountain.
Yep.
And you're drinking a beer. Like those are some top two beer moments for those.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I'm with you on that.
The balcony beer and the jacuzzi beer.
I have not enjoyed the balcony beer as much as I've enjoyed the first beer on the beach beer. Slash pina colada. I love a pina colada on the beach. But I do, man. If a drink has an umbrella in it, I like it. And sorry, not sorry. I don't even care what people think about that. But I do like a beer or a bourbon or something too. But if I'm sitting on the beach and I got my feet up, man, I'm usually drinking a pina colada or a mojito.
Ooh, mojito. I like the frozen mojito. I'm a Miami Vice guy too, though. I love a Miami Vice.
If you want to give me a Pacifico with a lime in it or something like that too, I'm in on that.
Yeah, Pacifico. Yeah, for sure.
But if I'm in stateside now, I want an original. I want a Coors Original, Bud Heavy, Red Bud. I want the red jacket. I want the yellow jacket. I want the heavy stuff.
Dude, I love that, man. I really appreciate you coming on the show today.
Yeah.
I look forward to following you in whatever you're doing. If there's anything I can do to help, you can call me. But seriously, what you have done, what you're doing now, and what you're going to be doing moving forward, like I'm a huge fan.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it. Well, go out and tell a couple thousand of your followers to buy the record and start wanting me on the radios and in these big shows, and we'll make some more shows.
We're going to make that happen. And we need to figure out, like, if you can do a tour, like I want to figure out how we can do some cool stuff on tour content-wise. So I think it'd be fantastic.
Maybe me and Riley can go out and...
There you go. Anything like new album coming out, this, that, anything else that we want to...
We're starting to talk about making another one. We are, because we got a lot of good songs that we could plug in real quick.
Yeah.
Just real quick. We wrote one yesterday in the studio while we were waiting. I've got a little documentary crew follow me around right now. And because I just don't know if anyone's ever done what I'm doing as far as baseball booth to baseball, to getting in the booth, to the music, and doing all that intertwined.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with no on that.
Yeah, it's a fun. It's a crazy, like those 3 days that I was telling you about earlier, man, where I went concert in Springfield, Missouri, straight to Wrigley Field to call the Cubs Reds, straight to concert at NASCAR Cup Series in Illinois. That's crazy, man. That was like, I got done with that and I got home and I just went, oh, that was nuts.
Yeah.
And I just don't know if anyone's done that. So they got a little crew follow me around, and yesterday they were like, hey, we want to get some songwriting stuff. Just fake, act like you're writing a song with the guys. And I was like, we don't have to fake anything, man. I got an idea like right now. Let's write it. And so we wrote a song called Bless Your Heart, and we wrote it in 30 minutes right there on the set. And I love that stuff, man. But you know, in the South, when somebody says bless your heart, it could mean three things. It could mean like, oh, bless your heart, like, you poor thing.
Yeah. Or bless your heart.
Bless your heart, like, oh, I feel so bad for you. Or like, oh, bless your heart, like you're the cutest thing ever. Or bless your heart could be like, ooh, dang.
Yeah.
They said bless your heart. That's like the ultimate.
Or there's another one too. And I'm not saying it's just in the South. I'm just saying how I grew up. I grew up in the South. And there are some people, when the Pledge of Allegiance comes on, that for some reason don't bless their heart. And I hear that a lot too. Like my grandma, hey, make sure you bless your heart. Like it could mean that too.
Yeah.
There's a lot of, I mean, hey, you need to.
I've never heard it said like that. Bless your heart.
When you're, like bless your, like hand on your heart, like bless your heart.
Yeah.
Because that's what you need to do when the Pledge of Allegiance is on. So there's another twist in that too.
There you go. You can sing the secret fourth verse.
Yeah, man. I'll tell you, Adam, I'd love to be a country musician. I really would. I'd love to be a singer. I don't think I can do it. And I get on stage every chance I get. I promise you. I started singing at Lake Oconee at 4th of July this year, and it's always I want to say that I can, but I suck. I'm terrible. But I am not scared to grab the mic and get it done.
That's
That's
what
the
it's all
hardest-
about.
Correct.
That's what it's all about, man. Are you having fun and are you not scared? That's all that matters.
Yeah.
You're nailing it.
Appreciate it, man. Appreciate it. Thanks for coming on the show today.
Yes, sir. Thanks for having me.
As always, like, comment, share, subscribe, do whatever you got to do to be like a farmer.